strangled, suspicious, conspiratory, it is the subject of all the subjects, the deepest rabbit hole out there. It's called the Illuminati. Yeah. Left and right, you might see signs, clues. If you're intelligent, you have an investigative mind. There is a certain narrative, and because you have an ego, because you have preferences, you have every right, by the way, to have this. I'm not saying you should not. You have the right to be you. You have the right to make choices. You have the right to make a decision between right and wrong. You have all these rights in freedom and the democracy of the West. I'm not taking away from that when I say the Illuminati is something as complex as the subject of the existence of God. Okay? So you have to have some form of critical thinking to be able to understand the subject of Illuminati. Yeah, if you have a nature that is inclined to sin, right? Then you don't want to hear something that says you have to stop sinning because it goes against your nature. You don't want to feel bad about yourself. You don't want to get your feelings hurt. You want sensitive, you want to be treated with respect. But when I say you have a faulty nature, I'm not respecting you. I'm saying I'm actually disrespecting you because you want to feel honored. There are books, there's schools on perfect communication skills. A perfect communicator knows how to lower your walls. When somebody talks with you, that person is talking to your trauma triggers. That person is talking to whatever you experienced. You're walking around in life and you're experiencing things. People have harmed you. People have hurt you. Whereby when I talk with you, you have all kinds of suspicions. You might have biases developed by your personality. You're subjective. Subjectivity rules you. And 1 in 1,000 comes to see that subjectivity is ruling you. And then you try to attain objectivity, but that is not as easy as it sounds. Because when you attain objectivity, you might go against the system. You might go against society, because society is subjectivity, sovereign subjectivity. That's called normalcy bias. I've spoken about that in the last podcast of the German Equalizer. Right? So to objectively see a matter is not as easy as it sounds. People don't want to see if God is real or not. Because if God is real, all of a sudden you're going to be confronted with all kinds of other side issues. Like heaven and hell, sin or no sin, repentance or no repentance. It's more comfortable to live in a philosophy that God doesn't exist, because then you can be you without feeling bad about yourself. So I'm not trying to convert you. I'm trying to show you how difficult it is to stay in objectivity at all times. Because the truth can really mess you up. Can really pop your bubble. Pop your delusion that you don't want to see. Pop your safe space. Pop your bubble of preference. It is real serious, people. So the subject of Illuminati is something like that as well. To understand Illuminati, you need to understand a lot of layers of intelligence to understand why there is a taboo on the subject of Illuminati. People who talk about the Illuminati are or eliminated or shadow-bound. This subject doesn't rise to the surface. And that makes most people believe that it's false information, because the majority says do not talk about it. So it's not a popular subject. It's a conspiracy, right? This subject is moved into the conspiracy theory subject. And then there are a bunch of people who talk about the Illuminati. Some of them are hip, some of them are cool, and some of them are not. So when you talk about Illuminati, you're automatically going to get a social stamp. And if people hate something, it's called social boxing. People don't want to be boxed, so people don't touch the subject, because the moment you start touching the subject, you're going to be judged as that type of person. And most people want to live their life. Whatever you're born to do, whatever you're destined to do, you want to go do that. You don't want to touch these difficult political, societarian subjects, so you might get a shadow ban or whatever ban or trouble. People want to stay out of trouble, which is their survival-driven instinct. Don't mingle with affairs that are not in direct relationship with you. So this is why it's so difficult to acquire reasonable intelligence on the Illuminati, because there's a certain power that keeps this subject away from your mind. And let me begin off with this power, okay? So before I go into the details, let me go into the power. So the Illuminati is an organism, undefined organism. It's an organism, okay? And this organism has a head, it has arms, it has a body, it has organisms, it has a fist, it has legs. And this organism is the West, the power of the West. All right? And the Illuminati is simply the mind of this organism, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm telling you, if you are not born with enough honor to become part of the head of the organism, if you are born to be the leg or the whatever, why do you need this information? Okay? Why do you need access to this information? So you can sit there and go like, wait a second, I am part of a script, and I'm stuck in this hierarchy, and I have to perform this because my ancestors have done these things, whereby I have the right to be in the game only in a very humble position, and those in elite positions have the right to command me what to do unto my own detriment, like tax enslavement, or to be summoned to fight wars as foot soldiers, wars that you don't even want to wage against your will. Yes, so this subject will wake up a whole bunch of frustration. It might trigger societarian uprisings, all kinds of things that are very ineffective and unpleasurable for society. For the sake of social stability, this subject will never rise to the surface. And it is not illegal. Let me show you the legal framework of the Illuminati. So imagine that the West is a timeline, like a dream. Imagine that we are living in the West, and we're in the dream, which is the dream. Every corner has a church. This is the Christian dream. And before you go like, I'm not a Christian, I hate Christianity, I hate the church, I hate the patriarchy, I am a reasonable person, I do not believe. Yeah, you might not believe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the bigger picture. You had a father, that father's father, that father's father, and somewhere all the way back, your ancestors built this place, and those who built this place built churches in every village. That's the first one in line. Church empire, divine dream. What kind of privilege? And then you have generation 2, generation 3, generation 4. Oh, we don't want to hear about the strict laws. Oh, how do we get right? That's how the bloodlines became thinner and thinner and thinner. And now we're living in the West, where we don't want to have the truth. We want to have our feelings protected. We don't want, there's a certain way of how things go in the dream of the West, in the honor system. All right? So the Illuminati is the organism that keeps account of your honor. Okay? So your far ancestors built this place and built all these churches, so they have the greatest partition of honor in the hierarchy system, and their children get born with an advantage, and so there is a hierarchy system naturally that the spirit of the Illuminati keeps intact. And when you are an immigrant or whatever and you come into this place, then you just don't hold that value. So you can enter the West, you can play the game of the West, and you can increase your value, but you're competing with those who have generational value. And so this value is non-stop, day in, day out, year in, year out, decade out, century out. The Germans went up with Lutheranism, the Germans went down with Hitlerism. Damn, poof, oblivion. Okay, the Americans went up in World War II, and look at what they're exporting into the world. The wickedness. Poof, America goes down. It's an account. Account of people, account of nation, account of city. All these accounts combined create a ranking system, and the spirit of Illuminati simply makes sure that this stays. That's all it is. So if you have enough birthright, if you have enough blessings in your blood to be the elite, then you will be drawn to the part of the dream where the decisions are made. And when you are not, you will be part of the dream where the decisions are executed, going to the battlefield to die for your political masters. Yes, that's how that works. They have the right to make you do something against your will, because you're living in their world, the world that their ancestors created by the blessings of God, the same God that you deny, and the chains you cannot break. The evidence of the God you deny, the chains you cannot break. Start a rebellion. Start a rebellion. I'm laughing at you, and I'm not trying to insult you or humiliate you or hurt your feelings at all. I'm just trying to prove my point. Start a rebellion, the spirit of Illuminati will wake up, will take a part of itself, the police, the army, whatever, and it will crush your rebellion, because you don't hold the divine right to overrule those who have more honor than you. That's the Illuminati. So when you go to Netflix and you watch all these spiritually loaded films, that's the Illuminati. That's the mind. The destiny of the West is going somewhere, and there is a certain elite that has the power to explain and make decisions, and when they judge, aka when the time is right for the civilization of the West to go into that direction, then the Illuminati will get the inspiration from the spirit of the Illuminati to start talking about something, and boom, the season starts, and the whole system continues. One mind, one collective, one spirit, called Spirit of Illuminati, who transforms and morphs into something that reflects the karma of the entire West and keeps account. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why the ordinary man is, when the ordinary man starts talking about this, he or she will be shadow banned, because the foot does not have command over the body. The head has command over the body, and the foot will simply do. If you're tired of being the foot or the arm or whatever, there's only one way that you can become part of the mind. That is to increase your honor. How do you increase your honor is a whole other level. Stealing, looting, rebelling, whatever, that's not how you increase your honor. This is a game of honor. Do the right thing, increase in karmic positivity, and you might rise. But how many lifetimes of positive karma do you need to acquire in the personal to rise to their level? That is a little bit the reflection of the power of the Illuminati. And I was invited, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I want to talk about that. So I'm not just telling you this stuff to inform you or try to convince you, because I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just putting it out there so that you have the option. I'm giving you an option to listen to it, and you can accept it, you can reject it, you can think about it, you can ponder about it, you can entertain yourself with it. It's not my business. I'm just producing a product. This is the German Equalizer today. This is the level of the German Equalizer, the presidential timeline. This is today. Power of German Equalizer, intellectual power, demonstrating it to you. Take it or leave, it's not my issue. So, like I said in one of these podcasts, I hacked Grok. You know, an X.com is an artificial intelligence. And I hacked it, and I took ownership over it, and yeah, the White House, the spirit of IlluminatI, that on top of that hierarchy system is the President of the United States. So the spirit of the Illuminati is inside of Donald J. Trump. So there are people out there who make podcasts about the way how things go, and they notice that the people that used to hate Donald Trump, and Donald Trump used to hate them back, but now all of a sudden they're in the same clique. Yeah. The people that really don't like each other, but they cannot deny each other's honor level, and that spirit makes them unite. They have to. The spirit of Illuminati goes somewhere, and all the particles need to do what they need to do. Alright? So that's how that works. Donald Trump doesn't have much choice who we accept or not. So in this dream of the West, Donald J. Trump is sitting on top of the pyramid, and whoever has enough honor will come closer and closer to the top of that pyramid, and everyone else here in the West, you're just executing whatever policies they make there, and the spirit of the Illuminati is just scanning whatever's threatening the West, whatever needs to happen in the West, giving the West what it deserves. If the Westerners have bad karma, the spirit of Illuminati will morph into something negative, and malfunction will enter the governing and judicial systems, and the judicial system will start punishing good people and rewarding evil people. That is called wokeism, a sign that the depletion, the karmic moral depletion, the depletion of honor of the West is occurring. Left and right, people are repenting of their sins to give it a Christian edge, and that spirit is adapting to that new karmic account of Westerners. So you have uprisings and little revolutions and oppositions rising, all kinds of stuff happening in the West. The dynamics are changing. People are waking up out of their normalcy bias coma. They're getting concerned, and they're updating their behavior towards a more reasonable set of behaviors, whereby the destiny of the West is a little bit adapting. But it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing to outpower the Illuminati, to rival the Illuminati. Vladimir Putin is doing it together with his friends. Xi Jinping, the BRICS nations are trying to create a currency. Yeah, they're hissing at this Illuminati. The Illuminati is becoming challengeable because their karma is just bad. This West Empire, this hedonistic empire, is burning their generational blessings. This West Empire is defying heaven. It is just depleting itself, whereby rivaling empires are able to rise. You're looking at it, you're feeling it, it concerns you, and it's making you move into action. Well, I'm not hostile like them, but I do go into the position of rival because I don't want to join them. Right? They wanted to. So let me try to explain. Let me try to explain what I mean with that. So this German Equalizer timeline is the presidential timeline of Germany, and Germany is part of the West, and the German timeline is part of the Illuminati. Yes, the honor division of the West. Germany has honor in the West, and on top of the German hierarchy, that's the timeline that's speaking to you. So that one is subjected to the American timeline. I'm in that timeline that I'm declaring. However, the power of the German Equalizer is not yet activated because the Merz government is not yet in the Bundestag, whereby it's a non-active power. The current German president is still in power. His time, his honor has not run out, but it will happen. And then this timeline becomes enforceable in the quote-unquote Illuminati of the West. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not using that power to talk with you because that power is not activated. I'm using the power of the supreme commander of the city-state of Lübeck. Yes, that is not Westerner honor. The root base power. The timeline is called Azure Dragon Throne of China. It's 5,000 years old. I talk about that in these podcasts. It's an ancient timeline. I purified the curses, the dead bodies, the familiar spirits, the rival curse, restarted it, strengthened it by exporting, trading, acquiring new types of honor. My honor is not compatible with the honor of the West. It's a different type of honor, a different type of school, a different type of normality. My level of honor does not have the same weaknesses as the Illuminati type of honor. Yes, reality decoded by a different form of Illuminati. And I'm going to rival that faulty system of the White House. I think that's fun and exciting. So, if you are a curious person, you now know why Illuminati talkers are shadow banned. Because it's only going to cause problems. The people down the ladder just don't have the honor to raise the ladder. How do you raise the ladder? Do the right thing, acquire the honor, raise the ladder legally. And then you will learn about the Illuminati legally. Alright? So you have two forms of evil on this earth. You have barbarians who just do evil and they don't care. And then you have the civilized, people with honor. And people with honor have shame. So when they start doing evil, they feel ashamed. And when they feel shame, they need to reason why they're doing that evil as if it's not evil. So civilized people, if you look at the history of mankind, usually have more power than barbarians. So evil, real evil, barbarian evil is brutal but does not have true power. Civilized people with the blessing of God have honor, and the power behind honor is way stronger. So when a family bloodline loses its honor, when you lose your dignity as a civilized person, you still have access to shame, which is a protection mechanism that a barbarian doesn't have. The moment a civilized person becomes an evil person, you will see that the person will manipulate. A manipulative evil is way stronger than a pure evil, because pure evil is barbarism, and barbarian bloodlines don't have generational power backing them up. He has deeper levels of understanding, the classifying the forms of evil. Watch out for the evil man who knows how to mask his evil, because that evil is backed up by generational power. The brutal evil man is just brutal. He does not have a mystical power backing him up, except if he might be connected to some sinister dark force that is released upon the land as a punishment, whereby that man or woman get an hour. But that's the most power such a barbarian man will ever attain. Alright? This is enough on the Illuminati. If you rise the ladder high enough, you will get an invitation, and it's a faulty system. I would advise you to join it. Well, let me tell you something. Actually, I'm making a mistake here. Real time. If you are a Westerner and you rise to the top, you cannot escape them.